So because it's being recorded, I guess we just make sure we refer to the first grade friends we're talking about by initials, if that's okay. I know Brady was the one who originally scheduled this, and she can't be here because she's tutoring. So I tried to just get a little brief debrief from her and Rosa when we were at car rider dismissal, and she only mentioned KB and FC. I know originally it might have had some other kids in mind.
I think she wanted to do KB, H, AB.
Okay, well.
CH, but AB is moving.
Right, and we just
She already
haven't.
mentioned it in the art.
Yeah, and they had an art. Yeah.
And then, CH is also going to the
Okay.
Winston School.
Well, I'm gonna share this with these notes with everybody anyway, and you'll make sure you have editing privileges, and I told her that she can just add who we didn't cover or what we didn't cover.
Okay.
Okay, so for now, I'll just put KB and FC on here.
I'll say, do you want to start with AB and CH, just make a note
Okay.
that we kind of discussed them
We could do
briefly?
that.
And the thing.
That'll work.
That way if they do stay back for
sure
sure.
to attend a different school next year. Yeah. But that way we have it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a bad idea at all. All right, so
You
we,
can share it and I'll type,
okay.
or help you type.
Can we use nickname
I'm just using initials.
when we're talking about her?
I think we should stick to initials, if that's okay. I'll share it with all y'all, as well as Brady. So just give me 1 second. Clark and Gelbart. Alright, I think everybody's an editor on here. Alright, and I will actually give the document a title, that would be helpful for first grade staffing. Alright, so if we start with AB.
I was gonna say, I think she was going through their like goals and we were discussing with a few of them like what's been working, what hasn't been working. And I think because the group is so big together, it's hard because there's so many and their needs are so different. I mean, anytime I let the group go do a lesson, even with support, it's kind of hard to get to all of them because you have CH who is severely dyslexic and has a really his short-term memory is just, he needs help. And then you have AB who will not initiate herself to do a task independently. KB, who, unless you're sitting there really helping him, he either won't do the work at all, or he'll say, help me, and if you don't help him right away, then he gets very upset. FC, who also won't do the work, unless you're on him with those frequent reminders, and gets distracted with fidgets with things. And there was, and now, I mean, I guess too with GM, also needs a lot of, it's just hard when you have that many, that I'm having to help all of them to just do the work, even modifying or accommodating with tools, like they need a lot of assistance, small group and one-on-one. So then it's hard to get to the other kids. So I think part of it was like what will benefit these kids most in second grade with like
Splitting them
the
up.
emotions, but then also like how do we make it possible for like support, but also just support the world.
Yep, I'll add that.
Did mom agree to that?
She did.
She did, okay.
But still planning to move, but in the event that she stays.
I'll add that
she will be
probably.
rotating.
Okay.
And I
But
told,
I'll agree to.
yeah.
Alright, yes, I'll add here.
And she does have LD, a learning disability.
Yep.
And what Brady and I talked about, as we noticed, is especially in math, she's stronger in math and reading. Dyslexia was a conversation. With math, she'll follow procedure. She gets the patterns down pretty well, but I'm not sure she's really understanding. She's more following a pattern and routine, like telling time sheet. One hand goes on the big number and one goes on the 12 for o'clock. she knows.
Was she flagged for dyslexia in that screener?
She was, but because she was already identified, there was no testing that went forward with that.
So in the ARD, they talked about, when they initially tested her, they saw some red flags, but because her speech was so bad, they couldn't define it. Yeah, they couldn't define it, let's say it was dyslexia. So, when Mom agreed to hold her back 1 more year, she also agreed to test her next year, so.
Good, okay.
And
She didn't sign yet, we were gonna give her a little bit of time to repeat first grade again, and then ask for the test.
Okay.
agreed.
And she's young.
And if they do go to another state, dyslexia isn't always recognized, it depends on the state too. But if they do end up stating her mom agreed to dyslexia test, to pursue dyslexia testing next year, next school year, right?
Yeah.
I was like, even with like, I forgot, I was reading the last line of the whole thing. Even with support, like the support has been really good this year and helpful, and there's always someone in there. But even with support, I mean, that's still 2 people trying to hold 5 and 6 kids, and we're having 3 and 3 or 3 and
That's
2.
like a 30-year class, that's almost like a big self-contained.
And even that is still like a struggle with 2 people pulling all 5 of those kids at the same time, or 6 now. They still, it's just hard to get to the other kids.
We should have broken them up, in hindsight, we should have broken them up a little bit more equitably, because all of these kids were identified last year. We probably should have broken up first grade a little more equitably than we did.
And it's probably like this, they were trying to think of like, I know like cancer's so limited now, like if we can push them all in.
Because
It's mainly for the area, I would say, of like reading and math. It's like those times where they just,
I don't think there's too many other grades that had like 5 or 6 sped kids in the gen ed class here. So if we could find ways to be equitable about it in the other grades, we should have. And again, it's hindsight now, and it's different now because it will be a 3 teacher.
yeah, and I'll say it will be.
Instead of a 4.
It will be different too if, so CH, his dad is severely dyslexic, and I guess when he was growing up had to go to like a special
He
school.
did.
He's still struggling, almost like a processing or as we said, I guess, all those things kind of go hand in hand, like his retention is just so low, and a lot of the stuff we do in class, which that kind of goes with that dyslexia, like it's not just that long-term memory, it's harder for them to establish, but over time it does. But he's still inconsistent, I think parents are worried as well, so he did a tour of the Winston school, and he mirrored a student, I think for a day or 2, and they wanna let him kind of choose to see, but it's like a smaller teacher to ratio kid, it's a smaller ratio. It's like a few kids per an adult, and because his needs are so high, and he still doesn't know all his letters of the alphabet. He'll know them one day, and then the next day he doesn't know them. He's working with, Shawno doing CBC words with the manipulatives, and he'll come back to class and I'll give him the Elkonin box and say the words fan, and he's still just,
I'm still working on CBC words because, we did that last year. He was in my kindergarten wing group last year, and he's been working on that for a while. I mean,
and I do
I'm
help
probably not as specialized as
Yeah.
Shauna is, and it's probably for a shorter amount of time, and it was definitely a bigger group of kids,
but he is supposed to, I mean, I don't know for sure if that's what they chose, but I think because of the dad's background and his struggles in school, they're trying to intervene early in case Cosby does have that. It's okay, CH does have that, I guess.
He has an older brother
disability.
too, I don't know if older brother, I can't remember. I did his initial earth last year, so I do remember this about dad. But I think older brother might also have dyslexia, but I'm not sure.
And she asked me, it was the first thing at the beginning of the year, she asked me right away about retention. Like I think she Oh,
And
he's
then-
okay, he's
yeah,
okay. I think he'll be fine wherever.
Just attention,
It's just
but,
to
yeah, everything's okay.
Sweet.
There, that's
Yes,
fine.
that is much better.
Yeah, I can see.
Alright, is there anything else we need to say about A, B, or CH before we move on to the next friends?
No, and I think both of them, if they did come back for some reason, there was a change in plans with their parents, I think they'll be fine placed anywhere.
Okay.
CH is friendly and fun, he's an attendant, but he's not a behavior, he's just, he goes with the flow. And AB too, she's a little needy, but
She's come a
She's
long way
sweet,
with
yeah.
her behavior, cause kindergarten, she was a lot. She's come a long way with her behavior.
yeah, and she's sweet. She just needs a lot of support and a lot of. She'll tell you.
know her letters? She does?
She can do CBC if I break apart the word, like when it goes the word rat, she will not even attempt. But if I say like she'll that blending and segmenting.
You know what you
And she's successful with word families. Yeah.
You can copy? No.
I mean, she'll just tell you no. Go sit down. No. Yes. No. Yes.
Because it wasn't a request.
I told her.
Yeah, she's so cute. And her language is a little better. At the beginning of the year, it was really hard to understand her, which is gonna impact her reading and her spelling and all that too.
Well, when I first started working at Clarendon Transportation, now I can understand.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It was the same for me last year when I worked with her in kindergarten. Though, although she wasn't saying as much then. She was doing a lot of hand gestures and nods of the head and stuff. She does speak more now, which is probably why she's a little bit more understandable.
Okay, our fun friend.
Okay, so
He's the one I've been struggling quite a bit with lately. Throughout the year, he was never, I don't wanna say great, but he wasn't acting out in the way he has been now. He was more sleepy, like he would come late, he would be just like almost out of it. Sleepy, just not doing any work.
throughout the year he was calmer, sleepier than he is now.
Actually, can we come back to him?
Yeah, that's fine.
I wanted to talk, or rather Herbie and you would talk about him, because I wanted to mention some of the emails that I've been getting.
Okay, I'll summarize, can I summarize what Brady said outside? Originally, she had suggested that we try retaining him, but now that we know what we know about staffing, you have concerns, but here's what I'm not clear on. Do we know that the 3 people who are in first grade will stay in first grade? Like, we don't necessarily, I don't think she will move people amongst grades too much because so many people have to be cut. That's pretty much how it was messaged. But that's
I
just something
haven't-
else.
I haven't heard anything
She,
about that.
when she messaged it to us to GLCs the other day, that was my takeaway, but
Yeah.
somebody else might have heard it differently.
I haven't heard anything, and I don't think they have either. It's just in they haven't told me anything, and I feel like if I would have been like, oh, I'm moving to this grade or this is happening, none of them want to, I believe, so I don't think they requested it.
Right.
I told Brady the other day that I would be fine possibly retaining him if he, I would gladly take him back into my room. But I think with the larger classes next year, because there will only be 3,
you off.
No, you're fine, you're good.
Okay. I'm trying to do better at that, I am. It's a work in progress. Currently has an ID diagnosis, seems borderline ALE. Brady said, and I do agree with this, like, he should be screened for autism. I don't know if he was screened for autism. Should be, thank you.
And I was telling her, I've tried in the nicest, she mentioned that at the beginning of the year. So when I've talked to Mom, I have not ever mentioned the word autism, but I did when he was like stimulating himself in class. I sent her a message and I was like, he is, what did I say? I think I forwarded to you, Dr. O'Neill. I said he is, what was the word I used? Stimming, which is like autistic behavior. And then we met the other day and she brought up more ADHD. And I don't know if I see ADHD, maybe ADD. He's not hyperactive where he's running around the room.
Okay. We switched kids because we didn't want you to miss out on MC. So we're doing KD right now.
Okay. She mentioned ADHD, and I swear I don't know if I meant to see ADHD because he's not crawling all under the floors and he's not super hyper where he's running around the class or like wandering, but he possibly ADD. I swear I can't diagnose that, like, but I said I do see ADD. He's always fidgeting with things at his desk. He's not really focused where he sits and like focuses on the screen or whatever we're doing. He's listening, but he's always doing stuff. He's always, his desk area is always kind of a mess.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't come up for reeval for one more year, but we could open testing at the beginning of the next school year or the end of this school year, if possible, to get him screened. If ADHD is something that we're suspecting, or ADD, he would just have to get the doctor's note for the other health impairment. But yeah, are you seeing anything in the FIE for AU?
No, not formal. It looked like they looked at it briefly, but not enough.
Okay.
They're saying more ADHD in here, which is probably why Mom is saying that as well. But I remember at the beginning of the year, in the art that we had, Mom was bringing up a lot of things that sounded AU. And so I was thinking she was already,
Okay.
like, thinking that. But I didn't know him well enough at that point. I was like, okay, that didn't take her.
As far as placement is concerned, well, Brady brought up him going at, kind of doing hybrid. I said, well, we're trying to get away from hybrids, to which her response was, well, I thought we wanted to do what was best for kids. And I was like, well, we do, but I don't know that hybrids really help kids as much as I thought they might a couple years ago, because just getting like both the gen ed teacher and the ALE teacher's perspective. The kid sits down, they look at them, and essentially they have to move again, so that might, I get what she's saying, but I think that might be one of the reasons why we're being encouraged to move away from hybrids. I don't think they're necessarily as helpful as we like to think they are.
And he, I don't
It's too many transitions, for somebody like him.
when he's not screaming and upset, he's fine in the classroom. I will say he's not really on task, but he's not, you can't redirect him at all. I mean, you redirect him, say he stomped on someone's foot. You can't do that. And he just screamed at me in my face. I mean, at the top of his lungs, because I told him you can't stomp on someone's foot and stomp.
He did that to me today too.
I will say he's made improvement in his, like, controlling his emotions. He started this thing where he'll remove himself from the class, he goes into the bathroom and shuts the door, and then he just, sometimes he cries, sometimes he screams, sometimes he opens the door and shuts it, opens and shuts it. But he doesn't do it in the class anymore. Like, he can tell, and he takes himself away, and his little spot is in the corner of the bathroom, and he just goes, and he lets it out, and then he'll come back about 2 or 3 minutes later. Sometimes he'll stay there a little longer, or she'll come in and I'm like, Dr. Newby's.
Yeah,
Yeah, break
usually
it
I'll
up.
come to pick him up, not usually, just sometimes when he comes out all calm. and
But he
quiet.
does that on his own, and I mean, it's
That's
way
good.
shorter than it used to be at the beginning, where it'd be like 15 minutes straight of like loud screaming. And his mom's very supportive. She has him in therapy, so he is trying. It's just that anything that requires, it's more of a behavior thing. Anything that requires effort for math,
made a ton of growth, I think he plateaued, but he shows us more now than he did then.
He has like, he reminds me of
Yeah, like he wasn't, yeah, he was,
Harvey,
yeah,
yeah,
he kinda has like a photographic, like we're doing super kids, I mean, if he's following along and reading, he picks up the words quick, so when times are decodable, some of he just spits out and reads the whole story to me.
like
But
he's
when it-
memorized.
But when he comes to a word he doesn't know, he will not apply any strategies. I mean, just sitting there trying to teach him the strategy, he just kicks and fights and screams. I don't know if he does
so the comprehension's probably not great, right?
Today
Like
for dog man, actually it was pretty good.
the listening comp is okay, well, he probably likes Dogman too, so.
I have seen him one-on-one now, and he's so much better. Like, he will actually work for me, and his language, I feel like, has improved a lot. But when I was seeing him in a group, I mean, nothing was done. Nothing. Every little thing would set him off screaming, and so he would not complete any work at all.
Because he wants your full attention. And if you stop to help someone else, like any break in that focus. It's either you're sitting there with him, helping him, doing it, and then if you don't let him finish, he gets mad. Or like, it can't be in a small group, if you start helping someone else, like then he just sits there and he gets impatient and then it's.
And he has a really hard time understanding another's point of view, or like taking turns, things like that. So anytime it wasn't his turn to choose our activity, it was just before we even started. Yeah.
Yeah, Corey got to see a little bit of that today, he was here to observe our other friend.
Yeah, he told me that one right there, had a hard time.
When was he last tested? I was a little bit.
At the beginning of kindergarten, right when he got here in kindergarten, but we could open testing here early in the year.
It says like he was 65.
That's low. They take it with a grain of salt, though, when they're that young, because we had somebody else who's in Highlands class who had my IQ around that this year, and I remember bringing it up in the ARB, and it's like, well, it's subjective and they're really young, and that particular kid is probably not.
I just am wondering if we send him to second grade with the understanding that he is retested and it's where he is, and either increase resource where he's getting more of the level that he's at, or consider a more restrictive environment.
Yeah, that was kind of what we was kind of to decide, like, let's try it, because we haven't really piloted true resource with him yet, either, to be fair. It's more co-teach and I have freedom, so. So, maybe pilot resource, get him retested.
Like the retention, I don't know, I feel like it may close the gap a little bit, but I'm not sure.
Could you pilot it when you were pulling GM or no?
I pilot, like, we start taking him at that time too, now. Yeah, I mean, as long as we get parent permission.
Right. I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah.
just to kind of get a feel for it.
The only thing with that, and this is just more of a logistics schedule thing, which we're gonna talk about later anyway, is, okay, today was the first day we did it, but I had other friends with me, so I couldn't focus on doing the level of resource work with GM, because I had friends that were having classes. But we're also working on tweaking that schedule, so as long as we could better tweak the schedule, I think it would be okay.
Do you want to meet after this?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, we can record that if we were okay with it, so I have more minutes. Okay, so that sounds like a good plan with our bestie.
He's cute, but I just worry, I do worry, and, well, actually, Hannah and Finnick, I think are okay too. Are okay in the same class, in a sense that they don't conflict with each other that much.
No, he did come,
But it's both a lot of work with both of them.
KB did complain to me about FC
Well,
today.
they're starting-
FC doesn't like me. And I was like, I don't think that's true. Or, you know what, he might not have said that, he might have said that about your other friend, that they're always talking about.
It was,
Jay.
yes, he stomped on his foot because he won a game that he didn't
Yeah.
like.
force him out, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but no.
It's not possible.
So are we ready to go back to FC?
Yes.
Is everybody good with that? Alright, well, so far all I put was also needs a lot of direction throughout the year, he was calmer, sleepier than he is now.
He was
There's-
yeah, I would say he was calmer, he was sleepier, he wasn't working a lot, but he stayed at his desk, and I could give him manipulatives, or like, if you do this, you can play with some Play-Doh. Just little things, and it was so slow and labored, and a lot of times he still wouldn't do the work, and I would say, okay, well, you know what, whatever you don't finish has to be done before we start Fun Friday. And then come Fun Friday, you would shoot to my spot and, knock it out super fast. And then I will say about a week or two before spring break, he's really escalated with aggression, getting out of his seat, just like shouting things out on the carpet.
Getting out of his seat, shouting out things, like throwing crayons.
And he's super, I don't know if it's part of his disability, but he hyper focuses, so right now his obsession is on Jay. And he's almost to the point where I don't like to use the word, but Jay no longer wants to be his friend because he has been mean to him a few times. So now he's hyper focused on him, and he really is bothering. The other day he pinched him, today he hit him because he didn't use the yellow crayon that he wanted him to use, because he's obsessed with the color yellow. He walked by him and just like went like this, and he'll try to talk to him. So at the fun run, he kept saying, "Race me," and that kid, I keep telling him, you'll have to stay away from each other. Like, the other kid's mom is starting to be, I had to have a phone call with her because I was surprised Jay hadn't gone home and told her, like, there's a kid in our class that is bothering your son. And I said, I don't know if he's told you about the situation, but I said, we're gonna be meeting him soon, to discuss his behavior. I said, but he is kind of bothering him, and I just want you to, like, hear it from me that he's kind of being annoying to him, really. And I said, he just wants to play with him, and then there was a couple incidences where I said he wasn't very nice, and now your son no longer wants to play with his child, which is understandable, and I'm not gonna force it, but it's kind of upset the other kid now, so now he's like hyper focused on him in every single thing that he does.
What about, if you talk to FC's mom to
Yes.
share your concerns, and what did she say?
So I messaged her the first time, the really first big behavior was that Friday before spring break when he ended up in the office. And then after that, so I messaged his mom, and I sent her a real long message, and I said, it's bothering this kid, maybe we can meet for a conference. And then that's when she wrote back and she goes, I think we have our art on Tuesday.
Yeah, we do have the art.
So I said, well, let's sit.
Tomorrow?
No, it's next. I thought she meant today.
Oh.
No.
I mean tomorrow, and then I didn't realize it wasn't on the calendar, so it's next Tuesday. So I wrote back, so we had the talk, she's like, I don't know what's gotten into him, I'm so sorry.
That's kind of what she told me.
She told me a behavior therapist, she's trying to find a behavior therapist. And this was after him bothering Jay for a little bit of time. So then I started signing his folder a little more, like, so then, sorry, I'm trying to think without saying it. So then, one day they came and him and Jay started like, I was like, okay, it looks like you boys are working it out. Great day. They were back to me, but I said, okay, I think it's like de-escalated.
Yeah.
He's not annoyed.
like at home, but at school, he's taking the intended dose. But he was hyper-focused, just staring intently, did
That's
not
how it
move.
started at the beginning of the year, like that's how it was in class, you just sit there, go do work, and just,
I'm wondering if the AM dose is different,
it's the amount.
Yeah. Well,
especially if he still acts like that with the PM side.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like, all of this stuff, like this change in behavior, if I didn't know, he's acting like somebody who's on medication but hasn't had access to it, even though he has a clinic dose, so I agree.
Mom, you pull him in the afternoon at all?
That, yeah, for social,
Do you
his
notice the
social
difference
skills is in the afternoon, I mean,
In the morning to the
he's,
afternoon?
yeah, I mean, I don't really pull him in the morning, if he, but he's gotten called to come with me. And he didn't used to ever get called to come with me for de-escalation breaks.
It's very
before.
hard to reason with him
Yeah.
when he's like that.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the afternoon, he's not the same as he used to be. He, still
Oh, that
has his
one day
moments where
when
it's
he-
hard to reason.
I will say that one day was where you released the.
Yeah, the
break,
early release.
And he had not taken, I remember she told me there was no medicine that day, so that day when he was like crawling over and
That's
trying
when
to
he
hit
was with
you,
Yes,
so that he
yeah,
had
he
no
was
medicine.
with me, and then we brought him to you, like, towards that.
So mom wrote back and she was like, I'm sorry, like, I'm looking at, I don't know what's gotten into his head, she said something like that. And then I wrote back and I said, well, the boys seem to have made up today, because it was that day, I said, it actually was a really great day, I said, you got I think a happy note specials, and I said, you got somebody for walking in the hallway nicely. So I said, let's just have our ARD and discuss things there, and then afterwards, we can still sit and meet and discuss things further, and then the next day escalated. So then on Friday, he was with a lady I had never seen before at lunch, and that's when I was like,
And
oh,
she
hi.
came out and watched the run.
I said, are you his mom? I said, are you his aunt? Because I'd never met her before, and she said, no, I'm his other mom. But I had never met her before, and I was like, oh. So then I kind of got confused, and I was like, other mom? So I tried to ask Finnick, do your moms live together? Or like, is it a dad and like a step? And he couldn't tell me, he had no idea. He didn't even know what I was trying to ask, I guess. So then they asked the front office, and it's his mom's girlfriend. But she did come to the fun run, and I heard her tell him he was not listening to her. I mean, he was in the dirt, doing the dirt like this.
He was
flying
crying at
everywhere.
one point, I guess because that other kid didn't wanna race.
The one kid wouldn't want to race him, and every time he lost the race, he cried. And then he threw his water on the ground, and he just threw the cup. So Brady picked it up and handed it to him and told him to throw it, and he wouldn't do it. So then the mom said, oh, I'll just do it for him. And Brady was kind of like, no, like, he just threw the trash on the floor and tried to make him throw it up. She goes, I'll do it for him. But I did hear her say, she was like, I know there's been issues with that kid. And she was acknowledging, like, Finnick, leave him alone. He doesn't want to play with you. Finnick kept trying. It's more the FC wants to play with the kid, and the kid no longer wants to play with him. So now he's like really hurt, and now he's just trying to get.
We've talked about it in
Revenge.
social skills, we have talked about it in social skills, but it's like it's too separate, like I don't think he can connect it. And even today, he came to my home for car rider dismissal, and I said, well, you being mean, like, I don't wanna get into a big thing about this, but I haven't had an opportunity to talk to you about this yet. Did you get into a thing with Jay again? Did you tell him he has to use a yellow crayon? He does have to, and I was like,
Just doesn't
Yeah,
get
get
it.
adamant about it.
yeah, I'm like, well, you don't really want people telling you what you have to do.
Well, he was mad the other day because the kid says, he says it's a color P. I like yellow, I want him, he needs to use that, if not P. I was like, okay, I said, well, you don't get to tell people what they're going to do.
Yeah,
They
well,
tell you.
and that's what I tried to say, if someone told you you had to use a color, you wouldn't really like that, you're not really anybody's boss.
He just doesn't get it. And then I guess the other day at lunch, which is kind of what I was telling you about history, actually it was today. We have him separate now at lunch. He was spitting, I guess, mango, and I got an email. I need to actually forward you the email. I already responded to the mom, and she actually like calmed down, but she was very upset that he was spitting on kids at lunch. And I told her, I was like, like I talked to the people in there, we have this table separate. Or I said, I can't tell you the exact consequences that happened due to her, but I said, but I did talk to like the adults, and then she was said, is leadership aware of the situation? So I said, well, I can forward your email to our vice principal, and she can call you, and she was like, and that's when she responded, she's like, no, it's okay, I just want to see if they're aware of this child, and I know he's special needs, but he can't be doing this stuff in the class, and she had calmed down, but at first she was pretty angry, but I was like, I would be angry too if my daughter came home and said overly a kid, and her daughter is, more timid, so like, she's not one that's gonna get out of her
She's
seat.
older?
Camila, no, Cam, no, the mom's very young. Her grandma and grandma,
The daughter.
older,
Is she older than FC?
The child, is the
one that
child
she was
older than
spitting?
FC? Yeah.
about the same age. At my mom, they're both at my mom. I mean, they're
So
about the
it's
same
not a
age.
different grader.
Oh, I thought it was sister. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, it's okay. At lunch, he was.
Got it.
So then she's more timid, so I don't really think, they did tell me when I got to lunch, and I made them all sit back down, cause I mean, they ran to me. And I said, y'all have to sit down, like, y'all can't approach me. I just walked into the cafeteria, I just ran over all these pre-K kids. About 6 or 7 of the kids ran up and told me. So I had to sit back down, and went outside, and I talked to him, and I'd sit down for a little bit, like, go back to the class, and made him say sorry, but, or he went with you that day, too, cause that's when he
Yeah,
said.
well-
So he got called out for, like, steps 1 for Jane.
And then I don't know if it's also a Monday lunch thing, because last Monday at lunch, nobody's ever called me to lunch before, for anybody. Him or anyone else. He was flipping people the bird, so they called me to the cafeteria for that. And then that was the day that the fire drill went off, so we stayed there to the fire drill, and I'm like, okay, are you finished eating? He wasn't finished, I'm like, finish up eating, and then we're leaving out of here because you were doing stuff. It got interrupted by the fire drill, but you were doing stuff that you should not be.
So it's just like a lot of student, like he needs an increase in steps
Maybe.
when we meet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys that, cause I also don't like his minutes the way the previous campus did it. He doesn't have any true co-teach. He has double dipping on the co-teach IF minutes, and I don't really know how that was helpful. I need some actual, like, legit co-teach minutes, and again, we should pilot resource. He's down as a resource kid because I filled out his pink sheet incorrectly, but he doesn't really get resource. But I was also wondering if he needs a bib. Not that a bib does a ton, it's really just like a piece of paper, but he's starting to seem like somebody who typically has a bib. But also I saw, thank you. So, yeah, those are some things that I was gonna talk about, like, I don't know. I wanna change his instructional minutes, cause I don't think they're meeting his needs, and I don't know that having all those IF minutes necessarily is enough for him. I guess my question is, I'm not really sure if we just get rid of the IF altogether and do co-teach and resource, or we keep some IF and do co-teach. I guess his scores kinda indicate that he would be a good candidate for resource. He's in
It's
the
not
red.
yeah, but that's more he actually knows way more. With him, like,
Behavioral.
it's like, he just sits there and he just stares and he just guesses, and he doesn't take the time to, like, if I call him, he can actually identify a lot of words from, it's just more, it's kinda like,
So he may not necessarily be a true resource. I was also gonna say, with regards to instruction, I know we're kind of talking about low behavior in instruction. He has the science social studies minutes. I don't know that he necessarily needs that. I think it's more of the well, again, in elementary school, generally speaking, I don't think we need to be giving science and social studies parents. Yeah. Yeah, he agrees with me about that.
I was just looking because he keeps telling me he wants to go back to his other campus. Which one? And I was looking, that's our attendance zone. So I was looking to see if he was school choice or not, but he's not.
No, if he says he wants to go back.
sometimes his cousin goes there with him,
Yeah.
and he,
Oh,
time I chased.
That, yeah, that day, that early
Yes.
release day was when you, yeah, cause I can't, I can, but it's pointless for me to chase anybody. I can't keep up with any of them.
I think if we're gonna even briefly mention a change in behavior in the morning versus after he has his dose, I would like to ask Jimmy to sit in, cause she can speak to it from the medical
Okay,
side.
I'll add
But I
her to
think
the,
it is important to have her.
I'll add her to the invite right now.
He normally does really well for me and I see him in the afternoon. It was just like the last 2 or 3 gaps that I noticed, but today was so much better. So
Just to like be able to communicate that we're seeing inconsistencies, I would like to have her there.
That's smart.
Maybe they can try different dosage or try
Or she
something.
can recommend dosing in at school. You can come in first thing and take it, and then
I've been trying to be like, there were 1 or 2 days that I was just like, tired of the behavior, I guess. I feel like I was a little more hard on him, and I will say the harder you are on him, he's one of the ones, the worse you are, the worse he is. So
so match your energy.
So today I was more calm with him, and we were actually having a good day until the 2 times that, you know, trying to encourage him, good job, you did great, thank you for doing your work, and then poke Jay, and I was like, seriously, like, it's just that hyper fixation on things really impedes a lot of
I
things.
think she's J Morgan 50,
So,
yeah.
Sounds right.
I just don't wanna send it to the wrong junk mail.
Got her right here.
yeah, no, say when you come in, I think he like talks to you or,
Sometimes he has stopped growling.
yeah.
I used to just go to the door and growl at him. But I also came in, I think I also came in, I don't know when I came in. I think to get at the beginning, you can build
Yeah.
more with.
Or both. Maybe. I'm so sorry, I've said so many things.
It's hard to.
I don't know that we should talk a lot about George Junior because
He's
He's fine, yeah.
more time.
He did a great job with his first day. I mean, apparently he's more flexible than I realized. Kelsey said that he does really well with change.
Great.
Yeah.
So, he was fine today, but it was also honeymoon phase in trucks.
Is there anything you wanna share? Cause I know you're in the classroom and then maybe have a business time.
Well, no, just, I've never not built a report with someone at FC. I had to build one, he won't talk to me. I did tell his mom one time that he's not talking to me, and she said, oh, he doesn't talk to me either.
Oh, yeah, I remember you told me that.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
he
okay.
doesn't really like to engage. Be an
He
adult.
looks like he has a lot of anger issues. Then he was telling me crayon, some of the kids.
Like earlier in the year, someone would be like, how's he doing? I'd be like, he's okay. And now, like, if someone was to say, like, how's he doing? You know, it's just like the difference. And like I said, he wasn't doing great at the beginning, but he was manageable. He would sit there, I could make him do his work on Friday. And it's honestly mainly the things of the other kids, because parents are starting to get upset, and it's mainly like the aggression towards others, the spitting, the walking by, even if it's just like a poke, like today, honestly, like with Jay, it was just a poke. But, you know, of course, he touched me, he's not supposed to be near me, and then it's just like this big escalation that, like, it's okay. Yeah, he just, now the other one can't move on, because he's so hyper focused to make sure he's staying away from him, so now they're like hyper focused on each other.
Or text
Or
me.
whatever,
Yeah.
seriously.
She does text me.
I text
Or
you
she'll
twenty
text
minutes.
through a few minutes later, but it's she does.
So you already know.
Ask Deanna, or you can also ask Deanna, cause she has the walkie and you don't.
As long as I feel like it's not major things, I feel, you know, I'm not like,
Right.
but it's like, I need
No.
a student removed, because he poked someone,
No, let her
but I guess
come
for
out.
documentation,
Yes,
parents.
please.
And for the sake of the other kids, they don't have to
Yeah.
be needlessly subjected to that.
But that's really it. I think her main
about some deciding factors,
I'm
so
gonna add her
it's not
to
off the
this
table, but.
Yeah.
document as well.
It's that hard, because what if you do and there is no progress or not a lot, and then it's like, you held back a kid
I've
with
only
disability.
retained a special ed student once in my career. I guess I just wish I knew more of like what the paper trail is that you need to create.
Well, GM's already been retained.
Yeah, and I don't, yes, he was. I wasn't really a part of that. I don't know how they were. I guess because here it comes down to parent choice to an extent. Cause I did have another student here, you know, one who goes to school here, but he had been retained at some point too, but.
I noticed that in same goal, I need to see, like, a procedure, cause Brady's saying it's retained after, I need to see what the procedure is, and there was only retention by parent. That was,
Retention by parent,
that was the only thing.
yeah.
Well, and we, as a campus, could make a recommendation, but ultimately.
And I know, like, we don't wanna be doing that too frequently with special ed kids, 'cause it's gonna set a precedent that.
Yeah,
Well, and like talking to Derek, it's like a bad reflection on our program. It's like, okay, we're supposed to be giving them support to scaffold, and we're saying.
Fair.
Not anything to be all specific.
No, but
just
that
in
makes
general.
sense. It
And
doesn't
so-
look, it's not really a good look.
That's why I was recommending, like, if they're struggling, let's increase their support.
yeah, yeah.
While we
What I
move forward
noticed
grade
about
level.
FC is, I wish